lift and load here, but it just feels like it is just not working. Am I a little bummed about it? Yes. Hey guys, it's me, Stephanie, and welcome to a new video. Today I am starting something new. I'm actually really excited about this, and I've also really been thinking about my YouTube channel and how many years it's been since I told myself I should do something about it. It's a dream. I really want to work it. So, I mean, all you can really say is, did I give up? And even though it's taking a really long time to find my place in this world and the internet world as well, it's better late than never. Today I have my big fluffy sweater because I was actually really cold today, but now I'm actually getting kind of hot in it. Here's the plan. I'm just going to give a little bit of a background here. Also, I ordered a ring light, so I'm really excited about that to light up my face instead of relying on my sewing lights. So my plan is, and I'm so excited about this, and I don't know when this video will be up, but I just know that it is a video that I want to put up. I really want to document my weight loss journey. I say weight loss because most people will recognize, you know, you lose weight when what I'm gonna do will cause me to lose weight, but it's all very personal to me, just how much my body has been through over the years and how much work I put into it. In 2020, when I got pregnant, I felt like I lost all of that work, but I try to see it in a positive light and remind myself that I could have been in a worse condition before getting pregnant, but I was in a better condition because of the steps I took to put my health first. Even though pregnancy technically caused me to go back to my old ways, which is binging, eating a lot of sugar, drinking a lot of sugar, and all of that, it has not been good for me, especially now that I am 32 and I'm a mom. I really need to get my health back in order, and I need to find my energy, and I feel like I have become a slave to food again, and snacks, and mainly sugar. I really want to, you know, step up on it and say, hey, I'm gonna do what I did in 2020, but I'm gonna do it even better, and I'm gonna go for it. Happens to line up with the new year, so hopefully it's not jinxed because of that. You know, the whole New Year's resolution, but it only lasts like a week or two. But I'm just hoping that I can really hit the ground running. My husband and I are gonna do it together. We're gonna start with a no sugar, a sugar fast, no sugar for 30 days. You know, there's all kinds of names for it. We're gonna do 40 days. We've done this before, technically. We did it earlier this year, and it was really hard living with my family. I was just tempted a lot, and it ended up just going right back to my old ways just because I had no other goals beyond that, and I was just in such a different place in life. I didn't have my own place, didn't have my own kitchen, and it's just really easy to just kind of give up on stuff. You know, I don't know, it was for me. But here we are, brand new start, a brand new year right around the corner. I'm recording this on December 28th, so I haven't started yet. I came up with a cool idea. Hear me out. How do I tie my fashion design into all of these plans and ideas? Maybe you're wondering, maybe you're not. Okay, can we like appreciate how messy this room is? Thank you. Okay, so maybe you're wondering, oh no, this is like a really weird angle. I mean, I can like try to relax and act like we're just hanging out, okay? So how do I tie this into my fashion design, you may wonder. Usually when I draft a pattern, I draft it on my handy dandy dress form, and she is a size 4 according to the brand. Whenever I make stuff, I find it easier obviously to draft it and use my dress form. However, I can't wear them, and I've realized that a lot of people like to see when you personalize something, and also a lot of fashion designers that I follow tend to model off their own designs, and it makes it very personal to them. And I feel like as an audience member, I like that part about it, and it's so hard because I have been very disappointed in what things look like on me, and I will wear something and just feel horrible. And a lot of that has to do with the guilt that I have of like what I'm eating and the amount of sugar that I put in my diet, and just feeling bloated and extremely unhealthy. Whenever I feel that way, I don't want to admit it and I don't want to think about it. The best way for me is just to not put myself in an outfit to make it obvious. However, on some occasions I was able to just be like, you know, maybe it helps other people to see me find that confidence and be able to wear some of these designs that I make for myself. And so I've come up with a plan. My plan is to incorporate my weight loss journey into my fashion designs. Hear me out. When I make a design and I draft it on my dress form, excuse the fact that she's naked right now, let's cover her up. There you go. I usually draft something on my dress form, and when I picked my dress form, I tried to pick a pretty easy size to work with, not too small, not too big, just a basic small. This happens to be be about the size that I used to be. That being said, like, I was so in love with dressing up. I loved it. I mean, fashion has been the driving force to everything that I've ever done. I will make a video about my story of how I went from photography to fashion design as well. But anyway, it's coming eventually. I just have to script it. I used to do self-portrait photography, and it was personalizing my work, and it was everything to me. It meant so much to be able to share my story through photos and through the fashion that I would pick in these photos. But over the years, you know, I was put on birth control because the doctor told me to, and convinced me that I needed to do it for my health. It ruined my health instead. I also just had a whole different appetite, and I just wanted to eat all the time. My hormones were all over the place. It wasn't good for me. I took back my health, and in about 2016, I believe, I quit birth control for good. After that, I had struggles with getting my hormones balanced, and I never really understood how to do it with health until 2020. And that's when I started focusing on what I'm eating, how often I'm eating, and also exercise and just being more active. And it was an amazing experience. I was able to get to a size 6, which is like one step to the size 4 that I used to be. So it kind of felt like I was finding my way back to, you know, the body that was comfortable to me and that felt better. I was never like healthy back when I was thinner. I was still eating a lot, and I started to gain like in the midriff, but it really didn't happen until I got on birth control. So I just wasn't dealing with it in a healthy way, and that's kind of where I went downhill basically. But before that, I mean, I loved drinking water, and I didn't eat all the time and snack all the time. I would literally just like forget about eating for like half the day, and then suddenly I would just have like a big meal and then more. And anyway, like most of my eating was done later on in the day, and so it wasn't like waking up eating all day and then going to sleep eating. Like I wasn't constantly eating back in the day, but I was eating big meals and enjoying myself. I was never restricting anything. I just felt good, and I was younger, so it was a little easier. Anyway, long story short, things didn't stay that way, and I got into like really dark places, and I would just feel really sad and unattractive and all this stuff. I've been trying to get back to who I was before birth control for what seems to be forever now, 10 years, maybe 11 years. It's really hard for me to like live with that, you know. What I'm going to do with fashion design, and I know I've taken like forever, and hopefully speed this up, I really want to document the process and the progress of me getting my health back while making designs for myself. I think it'd be so cool to look back months down the road, if I really stick to it, to see my measurements change and to see me become more comfortable and confident in my own body. It's, you know, you could say, oh, love yourself where you're at, but like, yes, love yourself where you're at, but don't let that be the reason you don't do anything about where you want to be or should be, you know. In my case, it's my health on the line. I'm a mom, and I'm only in my 30s, so I don't want, you know, loving myself to be an excuse to do nothing. I'm literally tired all the time. I have horrible sleep. I am gaining so much weight, it makes me feel so like bleh, you know, fatigued, lazy, tired, and everything. It's not good for me. I am increasing my risks of so many probably diseases just from not really putting my health first. First project we have, which I'm pretty excited about. I already did the pattern yesterday, and it is a corset top that I drafted myself. I did use a bodice block for this one, so I flat patterned it, so I actually don't even know how it's gonna be. I did not do it on the dress form first, so that'll be interesting. Yeah, and so it's this corset top that also goes past the waist, and the reason I did that is because I have like quite a belly pouch, and so anything that stops at the waist, it will just make my belly just kind of like, it'll stop here, and my belly will just stick out. Super uncomfortable, doesn't make me feel good about myself, so I didn't want to do that. So I did it where it extends further and it covers my belly pouch and hopefully holds me in. And so I thought I would try it. I honestly just did it based off of my measurements and a bodice block. So we're gonna test my skills really soon. I'm going to be using this thrifted piece of fabric, which looks like upholstery fabric. I feel like it'd be perfect for a corset. It's really thick and sturdy. And then I just found this linen type of whatever, I don't know what it is. It looks like, it might not even be a good choice. I might have to find something else, but I did find this. It may just look for like a basic cotton. This seems a little thin and a little see-through, so probably honestly not the best choice. We're gonna look for another one, but yeah, I think that this fabric is really pretty. All of that being said, if you want to stick around and watch this, I'll hopefully speed the rest of this up, but this is the beginning of my journey. This is me recording my before, if you will. I don't know how it's gonna fit, I don't know how it's gonna go, but I look forward to seeing myself 1 year from now. Now, I do want to have a second baby, so I want to hit my goal first before we try for the second baby. So that's kind of another motivation for me, is to get my body at a healthy place so that when I get pregnant again, I'm healthy and great. Because I had some risks towards the end of my pregnancy last time. I started off healthy, everything was great, and towards the end they were like, oh, your blood sugar is a little questionable. Your girl was eating ice cream like every day. I gave in to Pepsi when I shouldn't have. Anyway, it wasn't good. So I want to make sure I do a lot better job on the second pregnancy and just really put my health first, healthy foods first, nutritious foods, all the things. So part of that, when I make these videos and stuff, I'll be able to show you like what measurements I took and what the measurements are for what I'm creating. So in this case, I did a 40-inch bust, 32-inch waist, and a 38-inch. My bust is about 39 when I just measure like standing. If I like lean down and I do the whole like, you know, to find your correct bra size one, then it would go more towards 40. So I just said 40 on here to give it some ease. And then my waist is like 32, 31 and a half. Lately I've been not doing well. I've been eating worse because the holidays. And then my hips, just depends on what area you get at. This would not be my butt circumference, it's just like my upper, like my belly basically. We're gonna get started with cutting, see how it goes. We won't need my dress form for this round. I haven't made a corset top yet, but I really want to introduce them into my portfolio of things that I make. A little nervous that I'm making it for myself instead of, you know, my handy dandy dress form, but we'll see how it goes. I'm not even gonna do like a mock-up. I am gonna do the lining material first, whatever I choose. If I do mess up, okay, fine. I feel like this is an easy one to not mess up on when it comes to sizing because of the way corsets are just kind of like, you know, they're not too curvy unless you make it curvy, but I didn't really make it curvy. Anyways, let's go. They are all ironed, all the pieces, so it's looking nice and flat. Now I'm looking for some thread. I feel like I close that closet all the time and it opens up all the time. Oh gosh. Ooh. This one. Oh, this one's like perfect. Okay. So glad that I randomly decided to hoard thread at some point. I just would randomly find thread at the thrift store. You name it, I was buying it. Starting with this piece, we attach it to, this is the center front. All right, so we have the prototype, if you will, slash the lining. I used like safety pins to kind of hold those together because they would be held by ribbon. What it's looking like, it's not pressed or anything like that, but we're gonna try it on inside out, like, you know, the flat part against my body, like that. So you've got it on now. I just have to like bring it in here. All right, so it's looking like it should fit. I mean, it's going around my curves. It's hard to tell because I can't like close it in the back. Okay, we have the piece. A couple of things I want to point out. Also, like, what's going on here. Okay, but a couple things I want to point out besides the fact that some spots are just not the best is it feels pretty loose on the bust part. Especially up here, it's like just kind of sticks out. I don't know if it's the sizing, but I think that, you know, since I technically, okay, so I end up just temporarily using this zipper here. If anything, I'm able to bring the zipper in and see if that helps at all. I didn't put the finishing bias tape on the edge or anything like that. Also, I had to bring this in because, you know, but they're also just like falling off. So I think if I fixed this, I would bring everything in. I feel like it's like too wide, you know, it's like too way out there. It could be that my size, I used a bodice block and that bodice block might not reflect me. I have dug in here to like lift lift and load here, but it just feels like it is just not working. Am I a little bummed about it? Yes. At least I did it, you know? I didn't fix the overbust, and I think that's what's causing this horrible fit. It should be holding me in as opposed to just being opened up. Let's have a little talk here because this somehow segues perfectly into like what I'm dealing with and the steps I want to take to fix the things I'm dealing with. And what I'm dealing with obviously is my weight. Whenever I make something and I look at myself, I just like don't like the design. It's like my design ideas apparently are really suited to a specific body type. And I'm trying to think outside the box, and I'm trying to get inspired by other people who, you know, are comfortably and happily making pieces for bigger busted bodies, more curvy, that sort of thing. My mentality always goes back to like the Stephanie that I am in my head, I guess, like just who I was for a lot of my life before my health just kind of took a dive. But like I struggle because I don't want to like just leave myself where I'm at. Like I want to actually work on myself and everything, but I'm trying to, you know, not let that stop me from doing things now. Yes, I can set my health goals, I can, you know, do all those things, but it doesn't have to take away from doing other things, you know, sewing and making stuff for myself. But it's a perfect example of like what happens and what goes on in my head when I am trying to create something for myself. I just like look at it in the mirror and I'm like, oh, it's horrible. And I try to like, it feels like I'm just so bad at it, you know? And so then it brings me down because when I am creating something on my dress form and, you know, I'm like, oh, that came out great. Like it's so much easier to create stuff with my dress form. And so I rather do that. One thing that I was able to do was I graded one of my designs to fit, you know, into my size now. Like that actually came out really well. I probably should just use that pattern to help me create one of these like corset tops I'm trying to do, which I know I use the zipper, but like technically I made the pattern so that I can use grommets and like actually tie it in the back, but we're not gonna do that today. I think that this project here, which is like, why is it so wrinkly? Like what happened? Look what's happening to my belly. It's complicated to wear something so fitted unless you do it correctly, and I don't know exactly how to do it correctly yet. And so I want to be able to open the doors to this side of fashion design where I'm able to make stuff in different sizes and everything, but it's hard. I think that this project is like a good example. It happens to be what I was working on for a video about my weight, so it's kind of funny, but a good example of like what's going on in my head and like what I go through with my own body and why it's so easy to just want to hide behind the camera and just make stuff for, you know, a dress form that has no feelings whatsoever. And it's not a person, and it doesn't really matter. She is just who she is. It's just a dress form, and I just make stuff and have fun with it. It's so much easier to just work with that and not think about anything. Yeah, I have a ways to go, you know, teaching myself how to size things to myself, but I think this is a great way to start this journey of making things in my size, no matter where I'm at in my journey with my health. And this just happens to be where I'm at today, and who knows where I'll be at a year from today, or maybe a few months. I need to stop talking because this canker sore is really hurting, and if you have had a canker sore, you know what it's like. And they're caused usually from like trauma in the mouth, and I have like crooked teeth, and I noticed that I always tend to get one like that's lined up right where one of my teeth kind of like the pointy part. So anyway, my son likes to like headbutt, and I've been hit in the mouth so many times, so I'm really not surprised that I keep getting canker sores like right down there. I don't know if I'll finish this, we'll see. I kind of want to just like step away from it for a bit, just because I get so like, I don't know, I get so discouraged when something just like, it's like the moment I face where I realize I don't like where I'm at and I don't like dealing with it and I don't like making it obvious, and sizing something to myself makes it obvious, but obviously that also means it could be worth working towards making something that actually makes me feel good about myself, because that could mean that someone else might feel that way if I'm able to make garments that make people feel good about themselves. I don't know if that's just a lot of words, but anyways, okay, well, thank you guys for watching nonetheless. This is just, it is what it is. But stick around as I continue my journey and as I continue to make my designs in my size as well. This one is not technically a design I made in a smaller size first. Hopefully though, from here on out, like I'll make something on my dress form, draft it, make it up completely, test it out on that, and then resize it to myself. And I feel like that's going to be the fun thing, is just to kind of see how I keep changing and how I, you know, as my health gets better and how much more comfortable I feel and all that stuff. So it'll be a fun journey. Stick around if you're interested, and I will talk to you guys later. Okay, bye.